It was Monday morning when I walked into the break room and heard my name float through the air like poison. Stanley leaned against the coffee machine, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "She slept for that role," he said with a laugh that made my stomach turn. "How else does someone jump 3 levels in 6 months?" The room went quiet. 5 pairs of eyes turned to me. I felt heat crawl up my neck, but I kept my face blank. I poured my coffee with steady hands while my chest burned with shame. Stanley smirked at me over his mug. He had wanted the senior marketing director position just as badly as I did. The difference was I had earned it with 60-hour weeks and 3 major wins this quarter. He had earned nothing but resentment. I walked to the fridge for cream, pretending I hadn't heard anything. The silence stretched thick and uncomfortable. "Everything okay in here?" My new boss, Director Sullivan, appeared in the doorway. His eyes swept the room, taking in the tension. The room stayed frozen. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. "Everything's fine," I said, but my voice came out too quiet. "I'm fine," I told Director Sullivan, but the lie tasted bitter. I wasn't fine. I was drowning in whispers and sideways glances. By Tuesday, 2 teammates who used to chat with me at lunch suddenly had urgent calls when I sat down. By Wednesday, someone had posted a meme in our group chat. It showed a stick figure climbing a ladder made of beds with the initials AM underneath. My initials. I stared at my phone screen, watching the reactions roll in. Laughing emojis, fire emojis, heart eyes. Even worse, our HR representative Kelly had reacted with a smile emoji. The professional mask I wore every day felt like it was cracking. I screenshot the chat before anyone could delete it. My hands shook as I created a new folder on my phone. I named it Truth. The meme stayed up for 3 hours before someone finally removed it, but the damage was done. In the elevator, conversations stopped when I stepped inside. In meetings, my ideas got polite nods instead of real discussion. Stanley watched it all with satisfaction. He had lit the match, and now he was enjoying the fire. But I was already planning my own kind of heat. By Wednesday, the jokes weren't even trying to hide anymore. They floated through the office like smoke. A client call that should have come to me got rerouted to Stanley instead. I found out when the client emailed asking why they were suddenly working with someone new. In the hallway near the bathrooms, Stanley bumped my shoulder hard enough to make me stumble. "Congrats, superstar," he said, his voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Must be nice to fast-track your career." I kept walking, but I pulled out my phone and made a note. March 15th, 2:30 p.m., hallway bump, fast-track comment, witness, Tom from accounting. I had started keeping a log of everything. Times, places, exact words, who else was around. My mother always said that when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Stanley was showing me exactly who he was. That night, I sat in my apartment reviewing my notes. The pattern was clear, but as I scrolled through my photos from the past few months, something else came back to me. A memory I had buried. Something I had seen on Marcus's laptop 2 months ago. 2 months ago, I remembered it clearly now. Stanley had left his laptop open in conference room B. I was walking by to grab files from the printer when I saw it through the glass door. The screen was full of browser tabs. Not work stuff. Adult sites. Chat forums. Things that made my stomach turn. One tab showed an escort service website. Another was some kind of secret messaging app with a conversation open. I hadn't planned to look. I hadn't planned to do anything. But something made me pull out my phone and hit record through the glass. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was the same feeling that made me document everything now. The screen recording was only 30 seconds long, but it showed everything. His name logged into the escort site, the office IP address in the corner, bookmarked pages that would make his wife Jessica sick. I had forgotten about it until now. But as I searched through my cloud storage, there it was, time-stamped, clear as day. Stanley had been so careful to destroy my reputation with whispers and rumors. But he had left his own digital trail wide open. I replayed the screen recording 3 times, my heart pounding harder each time. The video quality was perfect. You could see his full name logged into the escort forum profile. The office IP address glowed in the bottom corner of his browser. His bookmarked favorites included at least 6 different adult chat sites. I took careful screenshots of each frame. Date stamps, timestamps, his username visible in the corner of every tab. I saved everything to 3 different cloud drives. The evidence was undeniable. This wasn't some random person using his computer. This was Marcus, logged into his personal accounts, using company internet to browse escort services and message women who weren't his wife. I labeled each file with military precision. Marcus browser Jan 5th course 2024, 1437 Rs, and so on. My cousin Riley worked in IT at another company. She would know how to verify what I was seeing. I pulled up her contact and typed carefully. Hey, can you explain Office IP logs in simple terms? Need to understand something for work. She replied within minutes. Sure. Call me tonight. My phone buzzed with her response just as another thought hit me. This wasn't just about clearing my name anymore. This was about justice. Riley's voice was clear and confident over the phone. If the browser shows Office IP and his profile name, it's definitely his session, she explained. IP addresses don't lie. They're like digital fingerprints. So there's no way he could claim someone else was using his computer? Not with his personal login credentials showing. Plus, Office networks track which computer accessed which sites. Your IT department would have logs. I wrote notes as she talked. The technical details mattered, but the bottom line was foof. Real, time-stamped, undeniable proof. After we hung up, I sat in my kitchen with a cup of tea and wrote myself a note on a yellow sticky pad. I don't need to argue, I only need to prove. The sticky note went on my bathroom mirror where I would see it every morning. At work the next day, I focused on my actual job. I finished 2 reports ahead of deadline. I prepared talking points for the client presentation. I kept my head down and my work quality high. But on Thursday afternoon, my calendar pinged with a new meeting request. Wellness check. HR conference room, U. Kelly, HR Marcus. My stomach dropped. They were bringing us together. The HR conference room smelled like vanilla air freshener and bad decisions. Kelly sat at the head of the small table with a fake cheerful smile. Stanley took the chair directly across from me, playing the role of concerned colleague. We just want to ensure harmony in the workplace, Stanley said, his voice smooth as honey. His eyes were wide and innocent, like he genuinely cared about team dynamics. Kelly nodded along. Stanley brought some concerns about team tension. We want everyone to feel supported. I kept my voice level. I want my work judged by results. I had prepared for this. From my folder, I pulled out printed copies of my performance metrics. Late nights logged, client wins documented, revenue numbers highlighted in yellow. These are my contributions over the past 6 months, I said, sliding the papers across the table. Kelly skimmed the numbers, looking impressed despite herself. Stanley leaned forward, his expression shifting to fake concern. We're not questioning your work quality. We just think there might be some misunderstandings about how advancement works here. When Kelly looked down at her notes, Stanley caught my eye and mouthed one word. Liar. The mask slipped for just a second. But I saw it. I left the HR meeting with a smile on my face, but inside I was planning. Not workplace drama. Not office confrontations. Something bigger. That evening, I updated my resume and quietly reached out to 2 recruiters. By Friday, I had taken 2 phone interviews during my lunch breaks. Both companies were interested. One recruiter emailed me Saturday morning. Offer ready if you want it. 30% salary increase, full remote options. I stared at the email for a long time. The smart move would be to take it. Leave Stanley and his rumors behind. Start fresh somewhere that would value my actual skills. But running away wouldn't clear my name. The rumor would follow me. Future employers might hear whispers. References might get poisoned. I needed my reputation clean first. I drafted a response to the recruiter. Very interested. Can I have 2 weeks to finalize some things here? Then I opened a new browser window and created an anonymous email account. Something untraceable. No connection to my real name or work address. The account name was simple. TruthTeller2024@protonmail.com. I bought a pack of plain brown envelopes from the drugstore on my way home. Sunday afternoon, I spread everything out on my kitchen table like pieces of a puzzle. Printed screenshots from the screen recording. A simple timeline of Marcus's behavior toward me. Dates, times, exact quotes. I didn't add commentary. I didn't call him names or make accusations. I just presented facts, data, evidence. The timeline was damning. January 15, evidence of inappropriate browsing at work. March 1st, I receive promotion. March 4, Stanley begins spreading rumors. March 8, meme posted in company chat. March 12, client call redirected away from me. March 15, Stanley makes fast track comment. I paperclipped everything together in chronological order. Clean, professional, devastating. The hardest part was finding his wife Jessica. But LinkedIn made it easy. Her profile showed she worked as a pediatric nurse at Children's Hospital downtown. Her workplace address was public information. I printed a simple cover note. Thought you should know what your husband does at work. A concerned colleague. No threats, no drama, just information. As I sealed the envelope, my hands didn't shake. I felt calm for the first time in weeks. Stanley had tried to destroy me with lies. But I had something better than lies. I had the truth. Monday morning, I stopped at a courier service 3 blocks from my apartment. The clerk was a tired-looking woman who didn't ask questions about the plain brown envelope. Delivery to Children's Hospital, attention Jessica Chen, I said, reading from the address I had written in block letters. Standard delivery or rush? Standard is fine. I paid in cash and kept the receipt. Tracking number 7745-8821-0034. Expected delivery, Tuesday morning between 9 a.m. and noon. The rest of Monday crawled by. I went to work, I attended meetings, I answered emails, I pretended everything was normal while my heart hammered against my ribs. Stanley seemed relaxed, even cheerful. He had no idea that a brown envelope was sitting in a delivery truck, waiting to explode his life. Tuesday morning, I tracked the package obsessively. Out for delivery at 8:47 a.m. Delivered to recipient at 9:12 a.m. Jessica had opened it by now. She had seen the screenshots, the evidence, the timeline. I forced myself to focus on work. I had a client presentation at 2 p.m. that I needed to nail. But by noon, Stanley looked pale and sweaty. He kept checking his phone. He stepped into the stairwell for a long, intense call. When he came back, his hands were shaking as he typed. By lunch, Stanley was falling apart. His face had gone gray, and sweat stains showed through his dress shirt, despite the office air conditioning. Every few minutes, his phone would buzz and he would grab it like a lifeline. I watched him from my desk, pretending to work on quarterly reports. He kept looking around the office like he expected someone to jump out and confront him. At 1:30, he suddenly stood up and walked straight to HR. I couldn't hear what he was saying to Kelly, but through the glass walls I could see his hands moving frantically. Defensive gestures, pleading body language. Kelly's expression went from confused to concerned to alarmed in the span of 5 minutes. Stanley returned to his desk 20 minutes later, but he didn't sit down. He grabbed his jacket and headed for the elevator without making eye contact with anyone. My phone pinged with a text from an unknown number. Thank you for telling me the truth. Jessica had my number somehow. Maybe she had traced the courier. Maybe Stanley had given her my contact information while trying to explain. It didn't matter. She knew. The truth was out, and Marcus's world was crumbling exactly the way mine had been 2 weeks ago. The difference was, his destruction was based on facts. Wednesday morning, Stanley cornered me by the elevators. His eyes were bloodshot and desperate. We need to talk, he said, stepping too close to me. His breath smelled like coffee and panic. Email me, I replied, pressing the up button repeatedly. He glanced around to make sure no one was listening, then whispered, You'll regret this. I know it was you. My heart pounded, but I kept my voice steady. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play dumb. This isn't over. The elevator arrived with a cheerful ding. I stepped inside and turned to face him as the doors closed. Have a good day, Marcus. His face was the last thing I saw before the doors shut completely. Rage mixed with fear, mixed with something that looked like desperation. 20 minutes later, my calendar pinged with a new meeting request. Emergency HR session, Stanley only, confidential matter. I smiled at my computer screen. Kelly had moved fast. Whatever Jessica had shared with the company, it was serious enough for an emergency meeting. My phone buzzed with a Slack message from my teammate. Did you see Marcus's calendar? Dude looks like he's about to throw up. I replied with a neutral emoji and got back to work. The weekly team meeting felt different without Stanley there. His empty chair sat at the far end of the conference table like a missing tooth. I presented my plan to save our struggling client account. 3-phase strategy, timeline, budget breakdown. The director actually clapped when I finished. "This is exactly the kind of innovative thinking we need," he said. "Can you lead implementation?" Around the table, my teammates nodded and took notes. Real engagement. Real questions about strategy instead of whispered jokes about my personal life. For the first time in 2 weeks, people were treating me like a professional again. After the meeting, Carla from our graphics team approached me hesitantly. "I owe you an apology," she said, looking at her shoes. "I believed the rumors without asking questions. That was wrong." "Thank you for saying that," I replied. "It means a lot." As we talked, my phone buzzed with a Slack notification from Kelly in HR. "Do you feel safe working here today? Please respond privately." I typed back, "Yes, I feel safe. Thank you for checking." But I saved the screenshot anyway, evidence that HR was now concerned about Marcus, not me. The tables had turned completely. Thursday evening, I was walking to my car when I heard shouting from across the parking lot. Stanley stood next to his silver sedan, yelling into his phone, "Please don't do this, Jessica. We can work it out." His voice carried in the evening air. Desperate, pleading. He saw me and his face crumpled. Our eyes met for a moment across the asphalt. I kept walking toward my car without changing my expression. "Jessica, please," he called into the phone. "It's not what you think." But it was exactly what she thought. And now she had proof. Friday morning, Stanley arrived at work 30 minutes late with a suitcase in his backseat. His shirt was wrinkled like he had slept in it. Dark circles shadowed his eyes. He avoided eye contact with everyone, including me. During the morning stand-up meeting, he mumbled responses and kept checking his phone. Our team lead asked if he was feeling okay. "Just some personal stuff," Stanley said. "I'll be fine." But he wasn't fine. His entire life was unraveling in real time, and I had front row seats to watch it happen. The justice felt better than I had imagined it would. Stanley cornered me by the elevators again Friday afternoon, but this time he looked broken instead of angry. "If you ever liked me as a friend, please help me," he whispered. His voice cracked on the word please. I studied his face. The arrogance was gone. The smirk had disappeared. He looked smaller somehow, like shame had physically shrunk him. "Stop talking about me," I said quietly. "Forever. To anyone." He nodded frantically. "Yes. Okay. I'll send an email to the team. I'll say the rumors were false." "Do it. And maybe you could tell Jessica that nothing ever happened between us. She thinks we had an affair and that's why you got promoted." I almost laughed. Even now, facing complete destruction, he was trying to manipulate me into fixing his marriage. "I'm not talking to your wife, Marcus. You created this mess. You figure out how to clean it up." His eyes filled with tears. Actual tears. Before he could respond, 2 security guards appeared around the corner and called his name. "Stanley Williams? Please come with us." His face went white as they escorted him toward the HR wing. Stanley didn't return to his desk that afternoon. At 4 p.m., an email went out to the entire team. "Stanley Williams is taking personal leave for confidential reasons. Please direct any urgent matters to Director Sullivan." My Slack messages lit up with questions from teammates. "What happened to Marcus? Is he okay? Do you know anything?" I replied to each with simple responses. "I don't know, and hope he's okay," and a shrugging emoji. Let them wonder. Let them speculate. I wasn't spreading rumors or adding fuel to any fires. I was just working and staying professional. But inside, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. Tuesday morning, Kelly from HR requested another meeting with me. This time, no Marcus. Just the 2 of us. "I want to follow up on some concerns," she said as we sat down. "We've been made aware of some hostile behavior in the workplace." I opened my phone and showed her the screenshots I had been saving. The bed emoji meme. The group chat reactions. Timestamps and participant names highlighted in yellow. "I documented everything," I said, "but I didn't want to create drama, so I handled it quietly." Kelly took detailed notes. "We'll be implementing some policy changes around workplace respect." As I left her office, I glanced toward the lobby and saw a familiar figure. Jessica Williams sat in the waiting area with a manila folder in her lap. "Thank you for bringing this to our attention," Kelly said as I gathered my printed screenshots. "Your documentation is very thorough." "I believe in facts," I replied. They tell the real story. Kelly nodded approvingly. We'll be implementing a zero-tolerance policy for harassment and rumor spreading, and we'll be conducting additional training for all staff. As I walked toward the lobby, Jessica Williams looked up from her folder. She was prettier than her LinkedIn photo, with tired eyes and perfect posture that spoke of years in healthcare. Our eyes met briefly. She gave me a small nod that might have been acknowledgement or thanks or just polite recognition. I nodded back and kept walking. In the elevator, my phone buzzed with an email from Marcus. Did you tell her about the promotion rumors? I screenshot the message and forwarded it to Kelly before typing my response. Please keep all communication professional. His reply came immediately. I'll say you hacked my computer. I'll tell them you set me up. I screenshot that too and forwarded it to Kelly. Then I called my cousin Riley. If someone claims I hacked their computer, what questions would IT ask to verify? They'd check login logs, she said. Show me the evidence and I'll help you explain it. Perfect. Let him try to claim hacking. The logs would show his own credentials. By Monday, the office rumor mill had completely flipped direction. Instead of whispers about me, people were speculating about Marcus's sudden personal leave. Someone mentioned seeing separation paperwork in his car. Someone else said his wife had been at the office asking questions. The conversation stopped when I walked by. But not because people were avoiding me. They were being respectful. Director Sullivan added me to the new Hartwell Industries project, our biggest client account of the year. I want someone reliable leading this, he said during the announcement. The same people who had ignored me 2 weeks ago were now asking for my input on their own projects. Carla from graphics invited me to lunch. Tom from accounting apologized for not speaking up when he witnessed Marcus's harassment. I should have said something, he admitted. I knew it was wrong, but I was a coward. Thank you for being honest now, I said. That matters. That afternoon, Stanley sent another email. Can we meet to discuss the situation? I think we're both victims here. I forwarded it to Kelly without responding. An hour later, Kelly called me. We'd like copies of any communications you've received from Marcus, plus your original documentation of the incidents. I sent everything. Timestamps, screenshots, the complete timeline. The net was closing around him, and he had woven it himself. Please keep all communication professional, I replied to Marcus's latest email. It was the same response I had given him 3 times now. His next message came within minutes. I'll say you hacked me. I'll tell them you broke into my computer and faked everything. I screenshot the message and forwarded it to Kelly, then called Riley. He's claiming I hacked his computer, I told her. What would IT say about my evidence? Send me the recording, she said. I forwarded the screen recording file. Riley called back in 10 minutes. This shows his active logged-in session, she explained. The browser has his credentials, his bookmarks, his search history. You can't fake that level of detail. Plus, your video was taken through glass from outside the room. If you were hacking, you'd have taken direct screenshots, not a recording through a window. She helped me draft a simple statement. The evidence shows his own logged-in session, accessed during normal business hours. Clear. Technical. Unbreakable. Stanley was drowning in his own lies, and every desperate move just pulled him deeper. That evening, Kelly emailed requesting my original timestamps and copies of all communication. I sent everything organized in folders: original evidence, timeline documentation, harassment communications. Professional. Thorough. Devastating. Tuesday morning brought the follow-up interviews. Kelly spoke with 3 people who had witnessed Stanley spreading rumors. 2 admitted they had helped share the gossip without questioning it. Carla knocked on my desk around lunchtime, her eyes red from crying. I told HR everything, she said. How Stanley started the rumors, how I passed them along without thinking, how we all treated you differently after that stupid meme. She took a shaky breath. I'm so sorry. I followed the crowd instead of asking questions. Thank you for telling the truth now, I said. That takes courage. She wiped her eyes. I have a daughter. I'd want someone to stand up for her if this happened to her. That afternoon, an email went out to the entire company. Mandatory training, workplace respect, and evidence-based decisions, all staff Thursday, 2 p.m. The training announcement included a new policy draft. Zero tolerance for rumor spreading. Clear reporting procedures. Written documentation requirements for any misconduct claims. My phone rang as I was reading the policy. The recruiter. Your offer just got better, she said. 20% salary increase on top of what we discussed. They really want you. I stared at my computer screen, weighing my options. Leave for guaranteed success, or stay and fight for change. Can I have until Friday to decide? I asked. The future was in my hands now. Wednesday morning, the official announcement appeared in everyone's inbox. An employee has been suspended pending investigation into violations of workplace conduct policy. No name given, but everyone knew. Marcus's desk sat empty, his computer dark. Someone from facilities had already removed his personal items. The whole area felt lighter without his presence. During the team meeting, Director Sullivan addressed the elephant in the room. We're implementing new standards for professional behavior, he said. Everyone deserves to work in an environment free from harassment and unfounded accusations. He looked directly at me. Moving forward, performance will be judged solely on merit and documented results. The room nodded in agreement. The same people who had believed Marcus's rumors 2 weeks ago were now nodding along with policies designed to protect people like me. After the meeting, the recruiter called again. Final offer, she said. Senior director role, full remote, equity package, and a signing bonus. They're serious about getting you. I held 2 futures in my hands. Take the better job and start fresh, or stay and help build something better here. I need to propose something to my current director first, I said. Give me until end of week. Some victories were worth more than money. Thursday afternoon, I requested a meeting with Director Sullivan. In his office, I laid out a formal proposal for the new workplace conduct policy. Zero tolerance for rumor-based harassment, I began, sliding a typed document across his desk. Clear steps for reporting, mandatory documentation for any misconduct claims, and protection for employees who report in good faith. He read through the proposal carefully, making notes in the margins. This is comprehensive, he said. Who drafted this? I did, based on what I've learned from recent experiences. He looked up with respect in his eyes. Would you be willing to lead implementation? We'd need someone to train managers, update the employee handbook, and serve as a resource for complex cases. A leadership role built on protecting others from what I had experienced. The chance to turn my worst weeks into meaningful change. I'd be honored to, I said. Good, I'll present this to executive leadership tomorrow. As I left his office, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Saw the news about the policy changes. Thank you. Jessica, still grateful that someone had given her the truth when it mattered. That evening, I called the recruiter with my decision. Some opportunities were worth more than starting over. Friday afternoon, I was leaving through the main lobby when Stanley appeared by the elevators. He looked older than his 42 years, wearing wrinkled clothes and carrying a cardboard box. Can we talk? He asked quietly. We stood in the corner by the windows, away from other employees. I'm sorry, he said, and for the first time, I believed he meant it. I was jealous and angry, and I hurt you. I know that now. His voice was hollow, defeated. I wish you had been kind when it mattered, I replied. He nodded, looking at his shoes. Jessica filed for separation yesterday. She's taking Emma and moving to her mother's house. Emma was his 7-year-old daughter. I felt a flicker of sadness for the child caught in this mess. I'm sorry your daughter is going through this, I said honestly. I destroyed everything, he whispered. My marriage, my job, my reputation. For what? Because I was jealous of your promotion. Before I could respond, Kelly appeared at the lobby doors. Marcus, we need to finish our final meeting. He picked up his box and looked at me one last time. I hope you get everything you deserve, he said. As he walked away, I realized he was right. I would get everything I deserved, and I deserved much better than I had been given. Monday morning, I presented the finalized policy draft to the executive team. Director Sullivan had scheduled the meeting in the large conference room, with legal and HR present. Clear reporting procedures, I explained, walking through each section. Documentation, requirements, protection against retaliation, and mandatory training for all supervisory staff. The legal counsel asked about implementation timeline. HR wanted clarification on documentation standards. The CFO inquired about training costs. I had answers for everything. Detailed timelines, sample forms, budget projections. I had spent the weekend preparing for every possible question. "This is exactly what we need," Director Sullivan said when I finished. "Comprehensive, but practical." The room nodded in agreement. The executive assistant was already typing up action items. "We'll roll this out company-wide next month," the CEO announced, with Dr. Williams leading the implementation team. My new title, Senior Director of Professional Standards. My name would be on the policy rollout email. My experience would protect future employees from what I had endured. That evening, I set an alarm for 7 a.m. I had a decision to make about my future. But for the first time in months, I wasn't running from anything. I was choosing what I wanted next, on my own terms. The difference felt like freedom. Friday morning, I dressed in my sharpest navy suit and walked through the office with my head high. No whispers followed me, no jokes echoed from the break room, just "good morning" from colleagues who respected my work. Marcus's desk remained empty, his nameplate already removed. In its place sat a small plant that Carla had brought in to brighten the space. I passed the glass conference room where the new policy training materials were stacked and ready. My policy, my words, my protection for others who might face what I had faced. The elevator mirror caught my reflection as I headed to my new office on the executive floor. Head high, shoulders straight, eyes clear. The rumors had died completely. Not because people forgot, but because they realized the truth. Excellence speaks louder than gossip. Facts matter more than fiction. Stanley had tried to destroy me with lies about my character. Instead, he had destroyed himself with the truth about his own. At my desk, I opened the email with the official policy announcement going out to all staff. My name appeared in bold at the bottom. Policy Development Lead, Dr. Andrea Williams, Senior Director of Professional Standards. I smiled and clicked send. The rumor was dead. My reputation was restored, and I had built something better from the ashes of someone else's jealousy. Some victories taste sweeter than others. This one tasted like justice.